Hello, algebra students. Let's take a look at this example. It says, what value of y would make the equation y squared equals, and look at that little 3 in that check mark. That's not a square root of 64. That's a cube root of 64. That little number inside the check mark here tells me which root I'm taking, whether it's a third root, a fourth root, a fifth root, the opposite of which power, basically. All right, so these style of examples are kind of the one exception to my rule about whenever you're solving an equation on the GED, you're going to have your calculator. They love exponents on the non-calculator section, and so I just would like you to be prepared if you see something like this there. And what I want you to notice is that a lot of students just go straight to guessing. They say, well, hey, I know that the cube root of 64 is 4, and so D4 must be the correct answer. And I would just warn you about that lovely wisdom principle we learned, which is simplify before you solve. Save yourself a lot of headache. No, I can't simplify the left-hand side of this equation. I can't square y when y is a mystery, but I sure can take the cube root of 64. 64 is a perfect cube. We have a number that if you cube it, you get 64. And what is that number? Well, if you're not sure, the way to figure it out is to guess and check. But I'll tell you one thing, it's even, so I know it has to be an even number. And I also know the cubes get big in a hurry. So I will tell you that it is 4 cubed. Let me prove it to you. 4 times 4 is 16. And if you multiply 16 by another 4, oh my goodness, so much work, you get 64. So what does that mean? That means the cube root of 64, or which cube makes 64, which number cubed makes 64, is 4. And that just got a lot simpler. And now look at my equation. I'm looking for a number y that if I square it, I get 4. 4 squared is not 4, you guys. All right, so not the correct answer. What number would I have to square to get 4? 2. 2 squared is the same as 4. And you could continue to solve this sucker by doing the opposite of square is square root. I'll take the square root of both sides. And I would see that the square and square root cancel to y. But since you guys are my advanced students, I'll let you know that when you take the square root of both sides, you actually get a positive and a negative answer. We haven't talked about that much because it doesn't really usually come up on the GED test, but it sure is going to come up in college. So it's actually true that y could be 2 things. It could be positive 2 or negative 2. But since positive 2 was the only one in our answers, we won't worry about it. All right, nice job. Super proud of you. So I don't know how many times to say it. Maybe you guys should tattoo it on your forehead or your knuckles or wherever you're tattooing things. But simplify before you solve. Sometimes I say pack before you move. It makes your life so much easier. All right, you guys, super proud of you. Happy learning.